Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to try and unlock the cinematic universe of Andrei Tarkovsky. Now, he's a director whose films, well, they're often felt more than they're actually understood.
You know, it's funny. A lot of people describe having this incredibly deep, almost spiritual connection to his movies. And this happens even when the plot is kind of mysterious or feels really slow. It's this bond that just goes way beyond simple storytelling.
So, how did he do it? How did a Soviet filmmaker create a language for film that's so universal, so personal, that it still hits home decades later? Well, let's get into it. The answer is all wrapped up in his unique philosophy of filmmaking, a method he actually called sculpting in time. So, the art of sculpting in time. For Tarkovsky, cinema's real power wasn't just about telling stories. Not at all. It was about capturing the actual texture and the pressure of time itself. He didn't see film as just a moving picture, but as a direct imprint of reality.
So what he was doing, he wasn't just recording events as they happened, he was literally imprinting time onto the film itself. The goal was to let you, the viewer, actually live inside that moment on screen, to feel its weight, its flow, its reality.
And his main tool for doing this? Well, it was his most famous, and let's be honest, his most challenging technique, the long take. Now, a lot of directors use long takes for flash, for spectacle, right? But for Tarkovsky, it was something much deeper. It was a philosophical necessity.
See, instead of the quick cuts you get in most movies that basically tell you what to feel and when, Tarkovsky's long takes do the exact opposite. They create this space for you to find your own meaning. Suddenly, you're not just a passive consumer of the plot, you're an active participant, and you're forced to think about the texture of the moment itself. It's not about what happens next, it's about what is happening right now.
So that's his whole philosophy of time. But it was matched by an equally powerful approach to the image itself. He really treated his shots more like poetry than just simple prose.
And you can see this in his fascination with Eastern aesthetics, especially the Japanese haiku. He loved how a haiku could capture a whole universe of meaning in just a few perfectly chosen lines. He wanted his images to do the exact same thing, to observe reality with such precision that they would reveal something timeless.
This is a really key philosophical shift from a lot of traditional Western art. I mean, think about a Western still life painting. You might see a scald to remind you that life is short, right? But for Tarkovsky, a shot of water running over some moss, it's not a symbol of something fleeting. It is the thing itself. It's a vision of the infinite tucked away inside the finite, like seeing the entire universe in a drop of water.
So these techniques, sculpting time, poetic images, they weren't just for show. They served a much deeper purpose, to explore some of humanity's biggest spiritual questions. And there's no better example of this than his sci-fi masterpiece, Stalker. Okay, so the film follows three men into this place called the Zone. It's this mysterious kind of post-apocalyptic landscape that almost seems to have a will of its own. It's a place where all the normal rules of our world, the cast iron laws of physics, they don't apply anymore.
In the Zone, the laws of physics are basically replaced by the laws of the soul. It's a treacherous, totally unpredictable place, and it seems to respond directly to the inner state of whoever's walking through it. And at the very heart of this place, there's a room that supposedly grants your deepest, truest wishes. So two characters, a cynical writer and a very pragmatic scientist, hire a guide, the Stalker, to get them there. They're both looking for something they've lost, inspiration, a Nobel Prize, you name it.
But as they get closer to this room, these two intellectuals, they just get completely crippled by doubt. They find themselves unable to actually believe in the very miracle they risked everything to find. Their cynicism basically becomes a cage that they can't break out of.
And that's when you realize this film isn't really about aliens or weird sci-fi gadgets, not at all. It's an allegory. It's about the modern struggle to believe in anything, in a world that feels so materialistic and cynical.
They start to realize that the room doesn't grant what you think you want, it grants what you truly are. And to face that truth, well, that requires the one thing they don't have: faith. The journey shows that real spiritual strength isn't about knowledge or fame. It's found in what Tarkovsky called the unsurrenderable ground of human weakness and our capacity to believe. The real challenge isn't surviving the zone, it's surviving the truth of your own soul. Okay, so Tarkovsky's legacy, this totally radical approach, treating cinema as a spiritual quest, has left a massive mark on the art world long after he was gone. I mean, you can see his influence everywhere. His use of the long take became a huge deal for contemporary video artists like Bill Viola, who directly credit him. You've got experimental filmmakers fascinated with creating their own metaphysical zones. He basically proved that cinema could be for quiet, deep contemplation, not just for cheap suspense. His ideas are still being unpacked by artists today.
Which brings us to a really interesting question for right now. In a world that's all about constant distraction and super fast content, is Tarkovsky's slow cinema more essential than ever? He never gives you easy answers, just a space to think, to contemplate. His films don't hand you a destination. They just invite you on the journey. And what he shows us time and time again is that the journey, well, that's everything.